everyone. Welcome to the Horror Syndicate Up All Night. I almost said Discourse because that's our Wednesday night show. But tonight we are talking about my favorite horror movie of all time. And if you didn't see it, well, you should probably subscribe to the Horror Syndicate on YouTube or like us on Facebook if you've not already done that. We have seen Evil Dead Rise, but we're going to wait until Wednesday to do a spoiler episode of the Horror Syndicate Discourse to talk about Evil Dead Rise. But if you've seen it, let us know what you think without spoiling anything. Although Seth and I have seen it, but respect others. You've got to have respect for other people. If you don't, then the world's going to be like Evil Dead. It's going to be madness. But tonight we are talking about A Nightmare on Elm Street. It is my favorite horror film of all time for many reasons. I saw Elm Street 2 and then 1 immediately after on HBO when I was a kid. It was the premiere, the time it premiered on HBO in '86 or whatever it was, and I just fell in love with Freddy. I thought he was so cool, and this is my favorite horror series, everything like that. Just not interested in Freddy. All right, okay, thanks. That was odd. What are you interested in, people? Tell us what you like about this movie. If you like this movie, this is Seth. He's our other co-host, hosts, whatever. But we're going to talk about A Nightmare on Elm Street. Next week we'll talk about the second movie, and then we'll keep going. We're going to go through all of the Elm Street movie, all 8 of them, and then Freddy versus Jason after that, and then we'll do a ranking show of both Elm Street movies, and then we'll do a ranking show of the Friday the 13th movies in the same night, but 2 different episodes. That's what I was thinking, Steph. What do you think?
Yeah, sure.
So what do you think of Evil Dead before we get started in Elm Street?
I really liked it. It's my 4th favorite in the franchise here. I had a good time with it, though I was reminded about I don't go to the movies on Friday night. But yeah, I thought it was a bloody good time. I'm actually looking forward to watching it again this Sunday. I'm gonna go with a buddy. But now I'm all amped up to watch all the other movies again. So I'm gonna put in the first one.
I loved it. It's number 3 for me now, and I think people need to go out and see it. I'm glad that it wasn't put out on streaming. I'm glad that it's theatrical. I hope it makes $100 million so we can get more Evil Dead movies. Because I don't want to wait another decade to get another Evil Dead movie, especially with some of the things we got in this movie. There's something that tells me, and I'm going to write an article about it, why we got to stop calling the 2013 Evil Dead a remake, because it is not at all a remake. Trust me, it's not. If you have seen this movie, listen closely to Bruce Campbell. Did you notice that was Bruce Campbell?
I thought I heard his voice.
No, it's him, yeah.
Yeah.
Going Monday, yes. I'm going Tuesday for the second time, taking my kids. They wanted to go first, but I went and the theater was completely empty. By the way, if you could like this video, I'd appreciate that. And subscribe on YouTube, all that stuff. But it was weird seeing it all by myself in the theater, but pretty cool at the same time. So anyway, tonight
I kind of wish. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say part of me kind of wishes that I was the only one to go see it in the theater, because I hated the crowd that I was with. But another part of me is glad that there was a lot of people there. So to support the movie.
Yeah, and I'm hoping there's a little bit of a crowd on Tuesday when we go Tuesday to see it. And also, I just want to mention anybody who watches us live tonight, thank you. I know Joe Bob's back on Shudder with Lucio Fulci's Zombie. It breaks my heart that I can't watch it, but rumor has it he'll be showing The Beyond, which I was wearing the shirt today. So hopefully, I get to see Zombie after. I love those Italian horror movies. All right, now to business, because we've got business. First time here, Evil. Okay, go see it in the theater. we're gonna say that go see Evil Dead Rise in the theater. It's great in the theater. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1 is by far the best of the series. The bloody ceiling scene, the body bag, and the high school hallway scene, and when Freddy pushes through the wall are all genre-pushing images that change the way we visualize horror movies. Yeah, this is definitely the most inventive horror movie of its time, and maybe of all time. Seth, what are some of your thoughts initially? Like, I know you were a big Elm Street fan. That's one of the things. Well, really, we bonded over our love for Universal horror, but Elm Street was another one.
Yeah. Well, it's like you said. I mean, the original, the whole concept behind it was really creative. It was a really inventive, and Wes Craven knocked it out of the park. In my opinion, it is the best Wes Craven movie, and it's one of the best horror movies ever made.
Yes, I 100% agree with you. Of course, it's my number one. There's so much about it that it's terrifying. I mean, if I like as a kid, I watched it. I was like 6, and I wasn't really scared because I thought Freddy was cool. He had the stuff. His arms were reaching out really wide, and all this different stuff was happening in the movie. And even at 6 years old, I do remember laughing when his face gets pulled off, and he's got the giggling skull or whatever. And but like at the same time, like I know that so many people I grew up with were terrified of Freddy, mostly from that movie because he does get to be a little bit more silly as the series goes on. Especially when you get to part 5 and Freddy's dead. But early on, he's scary as all get out.
Yeah.
Okay. So plus, I think the cast is very strong in this movie. From Amanda Wyss, Heather Langenkamp, of course, Robert Englund, who they couldn't make these movies without. And people don't want anybody to make an Elm Street movie without Robert Englund, which we got to get past that too, if you want to see another Elm Street movie. So, Seth, can you refresh everyone's memory about what, like, a synopsis of this film?
So Nancy Thompson and her friends are kind of haunted by nightmare of the same man, which seems impossible. And as her friends die, there's not a lot of death in this, of course. There's only a few. It's a very character-focused movie on Nancy, but Nancy tries to figure everything out, and she learns that the man haunting their dreams is a former child murderer / diddler who the parents of Springwood sought vigilante justice on, and they killed him, and somehow he was able to come back as a dream demon. And so that's about it.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. And, the parents of Springwood are holding that secret tight, and it sounds like Nancy's parents were kind of like a linchpin in all of this with, them having the glove in their house, which why? That's one of the things I've always wondered. Why do they keep it in the house, to this day, any sort of squealing noise, just like Freddy's rated. Yeah. Which they did in Scream 6 also. But you look at that and wonder why they would have that, but it's a great scene. And I believe it was cut, but I believe Nancy's had a brother or sister who was killed by Freddy. And so I guess that's the one that broke the camel's back. And, the Thompsons, I think, led the charge on Elm Street to go after Freddy. So it makes sense. And of course, her dad is the lieutenant, or is he captain or lieutenant?
I think it was just Lieutenant Thompson.
Oh, just a lieutenant. Yeah, but the movie opens so brilliantly with Amanda Wyss in a little nightie. And Amanda Wyss, is a fox to this day. She's very like I've been in her presence, and she is enchanting. Um, and she said she knows who the Horror Syndicate is, so that's great. I should try to get her on the show. Should I? Should I? Do you think Nate
Yeah.
will let us have her on the show? Anyway, yeah. So like that whole dream sequence. Well, even before that, when Freddy's assembling the glove, it's a smaller box. You see that. How cool is that to see him assembling his weapon of choice? Uh, but then you get the scene with her and the first jump scare of Freddy behind her, and for some reason, a sheep. That or is it a sheep or is it a goat? It's a sheep, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean,
it doesn't really matter. But she wakes up from her dream and she's got the claw marks on her gown, and her mom's all, you got cut your fingernails or stop that kind of dreaming. One or the other. It's like, bitch, please. How do you stop that kind of dreaming? If there was an answer for that. What makes you love horror? That's a great question. I guess it doesn't pay to count sheep. Seth, what answer the question? What is it that makes you love horror? Brett is asking.
I don't. I hate horror. I think all horror movies are stupid, and they're just not for me.
Agreed.
I don't know. They're fun times. I think horror movies are they're stories with high stakes, typically speaking, high peril. I like that the story, and I think they're just fun too. I don't know if there's like an exact I don't have an origin story. Like I wasn't my parents weren't murdered by a gangster who hated horror movies and all that. I don't have an origin story. I wasn't bitten by a radioactive serial killer. But I don't know. I've just always enjoyed them. I think, especially like when I was a kid, I was kind of starting to, I was kind of slow getting into the deep diving into the genre until I was a teenager. But, I always loved stuff like, the Universal monsters, when I was a kid. Child's Play 1 and 2, 1, 2, and 3 were always playing when I was a kid on TV. Pet Cemetery 1 and 2. So I don't know. I've just been into them since I was a kid.
So species, and he's a big sequel fan too. That's why we call him Sequel Seth.
I'm Sequel Seth.
Yeah, I've been watching horror movies since I was 6. Started with Elm Street 2, and I just thought it was so cool and fun. I agree with almost everything he says about the high stakes, but some of these movies, some of the horror movies, especially from the 70s and some of the ones from the 80s and even 90s, are really well made, and they don't get a good reputation for some reason, even though they are really well made. I mean, we look at guys like Wes Craven or John Carpenter, who are really, really great directors. I mean, John Carpenter is probably the greatest horror director of all time. And, and there's a lot of movies that are horror that can also mix comedy in there, and you can have a lot of fun with. And there's the slasher genre. I mean, growing up in that time really helped, because you got films like Friday the 13th every year, and then Halloween came back in 1988, and you had these slasher characters, and they were just so much fun. And I like possibly being scared. It's rare, but I just like having a good time, and horror gives me that good time. It's when my wife passed away. I kind of drowned myself in horror, and it was not a bad thing. Well, for my pocketbook, it was, because my collection went from about 200 to about 900, I think. But I don't know. I love horror. I think it's great. I think horror is underappreciated, and I think it's still looked at very negatively, unfairly. But yeah, and Freddy is a big reason why I love horror, and I know Seth can agree with me on that one.
Yeah.
A Nightmare on
Definitely.
Elm
Like
Street.
when I first, especially. Oh, I'm sorry. I got
Go
this
ahead. I
fucking
don't need to
delayed,
read Sean. Yeah, it's just Sean. Go ahead.
It's just Sean.
Yeah, we love you, Sean.
I forgot what I was going to say, so just go ahead, man.
I don't want to read Sean's comment, although it's a good comment because he talks about it's one of the greatest horror films ever. Yes, great tension, character, story, scares. Yeah, absolutely. Freddy is on the Mount Rushmore of horror.
Yeah.
I don't know. You probably thought you would get distracted when I said John Carpenter is one of the greatest horror directors of all time.
Well, he's just one of the greatest directors, period. So there's that.
Yeah, but he's known for horror. So that's why I throw the horror in there.
I know he's known for horror, but like if his filmography is so much more than that. Like he's done a lot of different genres.
Name one non-horror movie that you love that you would recommend to anybody from John Carpenter.
From Assault on Precinct 13, Escape from New York, Starman.
No, you had me at Assault on Precinct 13.
I fucking love that movie.
Yeah, I know you do. I'm gonna get there. I watched Taxi Driver the other night and I was like, okay, I think it's time to start watching some of these movies I've never seen before that are, kind of must-sees. And I know that that's one of the must-sees.
You'll probably fucking hate it and I'll regret pushing it on you, but I love it.
Well, that's the bad thing about it. There's now it's like this, it's got this reputation, and I'm like,
yeah. I fucking hyped it up much for you.
You hyped it up too much. That's it. It's gonna be. I'm like, okay, this is a 12% movie, Seth.
Son of a bitch.
Gargoyles is good. I've never seen that one. I'll have to put that on the list. If it's streaming somewhere, because I don't just buy random movies anymore. I used to. So back to Nightmare on Elm Street. A Nightmare on Elm Street. Did I ever tell you the story about meeting Heather Langenkamp?
You might have.
Have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
I was told that by an old man.
Yeah, at an opera. No, I met her a couple years ago, and I'm not gonna lie, man, I was damn near in tears because Nancy is one of my all-time favorite heroes because of all the shit she got. People didn't believe her that these people were dying in their dreams. She saw her best friend slashed apart in one of the greatest kills on screen of all time because they did it all on camera. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was going to add on to that. Nancy is a great character. That's one of the things about this movie is the character of Nancy because, like, she's obviously vulnerable. She's obviously upset by her friends dying, but she's also kind of like take charge. She's trying to figure out what's happening. She's trying to figure out a way to stop it. She's always learning, and then at the end. She sets up booby traps like Kevin McAllister, and she's just a great character because she's she's not like your I don't know, I guess you're like standard damsel in distress or anything like that. She's someone who has a little bit in her, and she's also intelligent, also being vulnerable. She's a great character.
Yeah, completely all the way around, man. She's awesome, and especially because I like that. Hold on, yeah. That's a great question. Last time I was terrified by a movie. I've got two, and it's been a while, but. It Follows bothered me quite a bit. It stuck with me overnight until the next morning, and then the Autopsy of Jane Doe. Oh, and the the Taking of Deborah Logan was another good one. Those really kind of stuck with me. And the reason about Autopsy of Jane Doe, which I absolutely recommend, and I think it's on Netflix now. But it like the way my house is set up is my living room is it's like an open concept floor plan or whatever. So my living room and my dining room are in the same room essentially, and my couch is like all the way over here, and all the way over here. When I watch horror movies, lights go off, phone goes down, and I just watch the movie, and so it's utter blackness other than the TV screen, and I'm watching this movie, and it's fucking creepy, and yeah, I kept like kind of side eyeing the other side of the room while I was watching it because it really kind of had an effect on me. Sinister also did when I first saw that. Did you have any, Seth?
Well, it's hard to say really, but I think Sinister did have a factor that kind of creeped me out to it. It's just because what scares us is very subjective to the individual. So things that would scare me may not scare you. I know home invasion stuff that really gets me. Believe it or not, I had a nightmare after watching Universal Soldier: Day of Reckoning because of the opening scene. And I mean that's an action movie, but the opening scene's fucking, for me, that was like terrifying. Which is weird to say, but
I've never seen that one.
I remember I showed. What's that?
I said, and I never will.
Well, I remember I sent you guys the link in the chat like a year or so ago with that one scene because we were talking about home invasion stuff.
Oh yeah, I ignored it like I normally ignore everything you send. So
right, yeah, like I ignored everything.
I just don't remember. I probably did watch it, but I need to because we did we did a whole episode on home invasion horror in I think December of 2022, or I mean 2021. Yeah,
probably, yeah.
Oh, I didn't see this one. Rest in peace, Wes Craven. He died. Did you know Wes Craven died of brain cancer, the exact same that my wife died from? That's twice I've said that tonight. Ugh. Sorry, everyone. Ghost Rider, my friend, how are you? The girl next door really adversely. The one with what's her name? Alicia Cuthbert or Cuthbert? It was based on. I'm guessing no. That's not the same movie. I don't think. Anyway, Elm Street.
Elm Street.
Let's talk about Nancy's friends. Let's talk about Rod Lane. He was different. You got these clean-cut teenagers, and part of me wonders, like, if Freddy, because he's invading people's dreams, if he can like plan things out, like almost set Rod up in a way, because obviously he knows who he is if they're all having dreams about him, right? What do you think?
Well, I don't think he was deliberately set up
Same
by
here.
Freddy. I don't know if that was his plan. I think either way, Tina was going to die that night.
Sure. Yeah. But he's an oddball in a clean-cut group of kids, is what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, and that's what kind of like hammers down his position in the movie, because he's known for being sort of hot-headed, kind of dickish, kind of he's got a
musician type,
a bad rap. So like when he's trying to explain that he didn't do it, that he wouldn't do it, you have all the people who don't believe her because of who he is, and that just makes his situation all that more. And
and I think it also helps balance out the group of kids, just like Jody said, always got to have a bad boy, and which Grady kind of plays that
for sure.
So, but yeah, because you got Glenn, the jock, preppy guy, and you got the hot blonde girl,
jock,
and then well, I mean, Nancy calls him a jock. You're a jock. Hit him with a baseball bat or something.
Well, I know the character was originally. I know the character was originally supposed to be a jock, but
yeah,
I didn't take young Johnny Depp as a jock.
Well, he is in high school, So, you know, like I may have been about that size when I was high school, and I played baseball and football.
I don't know. He kind of seemed like he was kind of a pussy.
See his face. Yeah. Yeah, I could probably. Jody said she could probably recite the whole. I think I could too. I've seen it so many times. I just watched it again last night, and so I wasn't even paying attention to it. So we're, as everybody should know that's watching, we're doing these 5-star ratings, and I've got them written down. So I'm trying to transfer them over to my Google Docs, and I was doing that while watching the movie last night, and I was saying line for line with everything. My daughter, she's 9 years old. She loves the Elm Street films. She goes, "Can you stop saying all the lines from the movie?" And I'm like, "Oh, am I doing that?" She's like, "Yes, every one of them." And I'm like, "All right." So I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, I love this cast. Her parents, both very flawed characters. You gotta love John Saxon though, which his role is enhanced in the third movie as well, and even into New Nightmare, which we just talked about. But we're going to talk about it again uh, in a few weeks. But yeah, Nancy's mom being an alcoholic, and of course nobody believes a teenager. Even like when Nancy calls Glenn's house after he's dead, he's like, "Just tell me who did it, baby. I'll go out and get him." And she's like, "Fred Krueger." He's like, "Yeah, sure." Well, you know, like, and she's got, that's one, like I'm talking about the obstacles she goes through, and I think her parents are I love her parents in this movie, especially her mom.
Well, it's actually kind of like realistic, because someone comes to you and says something supernatural is happening, or someone who is dead for a long time is back and killing people in their dreams. You're not going to believe them,
right?
So it was kind of realistic, yeah.
Well, in that respect, that's why Rod Lane being set up made it seem like he cut her straight, 3-4 cuts down the middle of her chest, and they look like they were straight razor cuts. That's why I'm saying, like, was that part of Freddy's plan? Obviously, nobody's going to believe. I mean, she could have died anyway that night. I still think Rod would have gotten the blame for it. He's arrested for all kinds of stuff before. He's got a record. He's got a jail record. And
well, I mean, if I don't know, because I think he would be he would be a suspect.
Yeah.
But I think the fact of him being there, there's witnesses that he was there, fingerprints, stuff like that. Whereas if he wasn't there,
well, shit, he left his shirt and shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I think that Tina would have died regardless that night, and he may have been a suspect, because he's dating her and all that. But just him being there made this situation a lot worse for him.
Yeah, I agree. And then with him being arrested, we get that great kill scene. I like it a lot. I was looking at your scores, and we'll get to the scores in a bit. But I was looking at your scores, and I was like, man, your scores for the kill scenes or the kills are kind of low for me, because I mean, I think Tina's is one of the best in-camera kills of all time.
Definitely, for sure. Like Tina's death is probably like one of my favorites in the entire franchise, and I love the way it's done. Glenn's death looks pretty cool. Rod's death was pretty cool.
Again, but Freddy set him up, made it look like suicide.
Yeah, but like the reason why my score was low for the kills is because there's not a lot of them in there.
There's 4. The worst one is Marge.
Yeah.
But I like that scene, and I know Nate mentioned the end was kind of rough for that movie. I'm like, not how. You can almost not tell if we'll get to the end, but like, no, I mean, yeah. First of all these are done in camera, right? Which you don't get that these days. A lot of it's CGI anymore. So they actually had to rotate the room. I love watching Never Sleep Again, the Elm Street doc, and I love hearing them talk about that scene in particular, the Tina kill. And I even asked Amanda Wiss about it, and she's like, "That's something I'll never do again." Um, I was like, "Yeah, I don't think I'd ever do it once." Um, I love that Wes Craven said that she couldn't feel like what was up and what was down, and he peeked his head through the window and says, "I'm on the floor. You're right here. It's okay," because I think she was on the ceiling or the wall or something. But anyway, and then you get Rod Lane's, and I think all that was shot in reverse or something like that. And I still think it looks great. That one to me was the most terrifying of the three because my mom used to tell me when I was a kid, I had a baby blanket that I slept with every night. Okay, my grandma gave it to me or knitted it for me or something, and I slept with it every night. And my mom and my daughter's the same way. To be completely honest, she's the same way. My I like that they were like pulling her. Anyway, I love Poltergeist, by the way. We'll get to that eventually. But my mom would tell me that be careful how I slept with my blanket because it would always be around my neck. And every day I wake up to go wake my daughter up, she's got that damn blanket around her neck. And I'm like, you got to keep this from around your neck. And so, like, I'll never forget watching Elm Street with my mom. We watched that scene and she goes, See? I'm like, that could happen to me? And she's like, yes, if you keep sleeping with that, so that always terrified the shit out of me, that scene, and then the Johnny Depp's kill scene, Glenn, was just so fucking weird and so out there. They suck him in the bed and then this fucking fountain of blood, which it's rattling the fucking light, the little light fixture on the, on the ceiling, and then it starts swaying because I know what happened was the wall or the ceiling, it got too heavy and it started to tilt. But yeah, and then I'm glad they did not bring there's the scene where Johnny Depp comes out of the bed and falls in the pool. I'm glad they didn't bring that in because I like thinking his body's just incinerated. It's gone. It's fucking gone. It's just, like that line. He's like, should we get a stretcher or something like that? He's like, we need a mop. Yeah. I love that. No, not at all, man. I appreciate it. Yeah. Spread the word. We totally appreciate that. 100%. I don't see that. No, nothing wrong at all. Nothing wrong at all. Oh, that's because you're on YouTube and we've got the Facebook comments only pop up when I show them on Facebook or on the screen. That's why. I don't like that. That pisses me. Like he can only see YouTube people can only see the YouTube comments. Facebook people can only see the Facebook comments. So they can only reply to, it's stupid. Anyway.
Yeah.
They're there. But yeah, so I think the kills are where's my list? I gave the kills a 10, man. There's not many, but it's quality over quantity for me, And Elm Street is full of that. I think the movie has the most kills is the second one because of the pool party scene, and it just I gave that one a 5 for the kills. I mean, Grady's kill was shitty. It could have been better. The effects in that movie are really good, but the kills just aren't really that great. Snyder's was stupid. We'll get into that next week.
Yeah, I was gonna say, save it, man.
Yeah. Where's Nate? Nate does not come on the Friday show. He will be here on Wednesday when we talk about a new movie you may have heard of. So he'll be back on Wednesday.
Say that?
Huh?
Nate's at home washing his tights.
He's at home washing his tights. Oh, do you want to come on, Nate? If you're available, come on, man.
Yeah,
you're always welcome. So you're at home washing your tights, right? I just watched Batman '89 the other night after I went to see Superman, and that line and "This town needs an enema" always gives me a chuckle, no matter what. I've seen that movie 1,000 times, and I always laugh at that. His delivery. This town needs an enema. That he does the blower thing. I love it. But anyway, so we talked about the characters. What is Marge drinking? Is she drinking vodka or rum?
It looked like vodka to me. I could be wrong though.
Well, you're the drinker between the two of us.
Let's not pigeonhole me here, okay?
What are you drinking tonight? I'm drinking Powerade. What are you drinking?
Beer.
Just saying. Okay. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, we haven't done just an Elm Street, the first Elm Street movie show on Discourse, have we? I know we've done it as a whole, and we've done a couple of the movies here and there, but I don't think we've done a full episode on the first movie.
We'll have to look into that because that doesn't seem right.
No, it doesn't seem right. Freddy is a drifter, not a family man. Yeah.
Yep.
Somebody's a fan of a certain fan film. Confession of Fred Krueger much? Fred Cougar. How about that? He's a cougar.
That's true.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment 100%. Freddy's Dead's a fun movie. It's stupid and silly, but giving him a wife, and I didn't really care for all those other gloves. You know, we'll get to that. We're coming up on that one. We just finished all the Friday the 13th movies. If you haven't seen those episodes, please check those out on our YouTube channel and subscribe. And of course, Wednesday night we do we're doing Evil Dead. We just did Green Room this week, and if you have not seen that, it's on HBO Max. Fucking watch that. Seth loved it so much he came in his pants.
Twice.
There you go.
You sick fuck.
It's because you're
Sequel Seth.
Sequel Seth.
Sequel Seth. I came in.
All right.
I can't.
So what other topics do you want to bring up when it comes to Elm Street? Because I know you love this movie as much as myself and Nathan.
Well, I mean, I don't really have a lot,
No.
but the score for the movie is just so great and iconic.
Yeah,
it's one of those scores that, like, usually when I get in the mood, like I listen to a lot of scores and a lot of like orchestration type of music. But like if I'm like in that Elm Street mode, like I'll even like pull up the scores and listen to them when I'm at work. And it's just there's a lot of great themes to the movie.
Yeah, and that's something I wanted to mention about the scores in general. I feel like they go downhill with each movie. Even Dream Warriors, I don't think it's as good as the first movie. It just keeps going downhill. And by the time you get to Freddy's Dead, it's not great. And that familiar Elm Street, theme is only there for 1 second.
I will say that I love Christopher Young's score for Elm Street 2. It's different than I can't remember the composer who did the first one. Charles Bernstein.
That's why we need Nate here.
Yeah. But I really do like part 2. I really like Christopher Young in general. The score for 3 was like if they weren't using the previous themes from the first one, it was just barely there. 4, I like the score for that a little bit, especially when they use the stuff in the first one. But yeah, after that, it just
4 we get the added bonus of Tuesday night songs. So, and Vinnie Vincent Invasion, of course.
Actually, I have.
Yeah, there's something about the sound design on the second movie that I don't like. What do you got there?
Elm Street 4.
Ooh.
Elm Street 4 CD.
Yes.
The score, and then Elm Street 1 and 2 scores.
Look
CD.
at you. Look at you. I don't have those. I think I had part 4 on tape at one time, like a long time ago. But
I like how you turned your head to look.
Yeah. I had to. I'm trying to be an actor, so I'm like, no, don't have them. The films since Dream Warriors were nothing but feature-length music videos. No, I disagree. Why did an entire town burn him alive instead of one family? Well, because he was killing as a drifter, he was killing kids. He Nate. Well, yeah,
Right,
he was a
exactly.
drifter, but he drifted into Springwood. And go ahead, Seth.
Well, exactly. I mean, this is the thing, especially with Nate in his fan film, is the original intention of the character was that he was a drifter because it was kind of like inspired by like something that happened to Wes when he was a kid. He looked out a
Yeah.
window and saw someone dressed in a similar way. And that was the original intention of the character. Then Freddy's Dead was the bizarre one where they introduced where he was like a family man in the town, which
An
in that
upstanding citizen.
he owned the house, and I don't know, it just didn't really make much sense.
Yeah, I didn't like that he owned the house. That's like it was kind of a generic thing these days. Oh, the killer was lived in this house, and Jason's got a sister, Freddy's got a daughter. The thing is,
Yeah.
in my like I've grown up in a lot of well, not grown up in, but I've lived in a lot of small towns, and you get there are guys who just walk the streets, and you don't know who they are, or you might know who they are, but they still just walk the streets. You have no idea where they live. They're just always on the fucking streets, or the town drunk, or whatever, And I feel like that's kind of how Freddy was, and I don't know that. I think two may have been the one where he said that he worked in the boiler room, but I don't think it was ever mentioned in the first movie. I could be wrong. I just assumed that's where he took him because it was probably like a rundown old boiler room.
Well, I mean, it's possible he could have worked there. Like, he drifted in town. Maybe he worked here and there, did some killings. Maybe he went town to town, established himself for a little bit. Or that, I like that theory too, that he couldn't pay his mortgage.
Bad shit crazy. It took that franchise, the Leprechaun franchise. Oh man, yeah. Just like Star Wars. The Dream Master had more of a drum effect to its tracks. Most of the horror films of the late 80s. Yeah, 100%.
The Elm Street 4 score is actually really good. I like it.
It is. I mean, when I say that they decline, I guess I'm really referring to when we get to 5 and 6, and even we discussed New Nightmare the other day, and when New Nightmare's score just isn't that great. There's one really great moment, in my opinion, but
they're kind of like a hit and miss.
Yeah, he lived in the boiler room, right? Yes, thank you, Nate. Hey, you're supposed to be watching that 5-hour movie. Did you see that shit? He said there's some movie that's 5 hours that he wanted to watch. I'm like, oh my god, 5 hours. That would take like
probably a silent film too, right?
Was it a silent film?
1922?
Nate, he just appreciates the art of film, and like, because silent movies aren't my thing. He just, I don't know, he's got the stamina for it. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, Fritz Lang film. So was it a silent movie? Thank you very much, Charles. Thanks for coming back. You got to check us out on Wednesday too, man. We got some great content. That's the big show. Wednesday night at 6:30 Central, 7:30 on the East Coast. We really break down movies. Nate does the autopsy. I'll just play his thing. I'm gonna play it because he's watching, and I know he doesn't like it. So Nate, he does an autopsy because he picks a scene from every movie we cover and breaks it down from a filmmaking perspective. Because Nathan, if you didn't know, is a filmmaker, which he did the Confession of Fred Krueger fan film, which is available for free to check out on YouTube. So check it out after this show, of course. But he's also
highly recommend it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's really good actually.
Yeah.
And the guy who plays Freddy, Kevin Roach, is really fucking good. All
Mhm.
around good movie. It's about a half an hour, so give it a shot. But yeah, he's a filmmaker. He's a student of film. He's got a great eye. Some people says he has too. Another Batman line. Thinking of splitting the Family Man character into the owner of. Oh man, a 5 hour silent film. I don't know if I could do that. Like Charlie Kruger or Jake Kruger, like Jake Skywalker, like Mark Hamill said. Uh, anyway, check out Confession of Fred Krueger. It is worth your time. If uh, we had a double feature last year where we showed Never Hike Alone, the Friday the 13th fan film from our good friend Vince, and then we did Nate's Confession of Fred Krueger. Me and Seth both agree that we want to see a sequel to that, but Nate's got another movie coming out pretty soon, which I'm excited about. I know you are
I mean,
too.
yeah. I mean, I don't blame him
Yeah.
because
No,
I
not
mean,
at all.
as a viewer, I'm getting sick of fan films,
Yeah,
and I understand his need to like do like something original. I was just
100%.
gonna say one of the things I was gonna say is that even if I didn't know Nate, if I wasn't friends with him, I would still love the Confession of Fred Krueger. I
Yeah,
actually showed it to a couple of my friends after watching a couple of the movies over the last few years, and they've loved it. Um,
I was turned on to it by one of the other horror syndicate guys. He's like, "You need to check this one out." I didn't know Nate at the time, and I had to actually ask permission to put it up. I was so impressed by it. I was like, "People need to see this," and so I put it up on the horrorsyndicate.com, and
yeah,
because I needed to see it, I needed people to see it. Not that we get like a ton of people watching. Um, no, I've not seen that.
I have. It's fun.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Checks in the mail.
Like Jack Burton always says.
Yeah. Nosferatu is the first and only silent film I will ever watch. I will say there's one on HBO Max. It's really short, but it's like 3 minutes. A short film. I can't remember what the title is. I'm gonna look because I watched it and I loved it. It was like 3 or 4 minutes long. Let me look. Let me look. Let me look. It's from 1920. No, yeah, 1903. The Infernal Cauldron. Check that out. It's on HBO Max. And check out the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and the Cat and the Canary. Um, although we did it, did we do an episode on that? Yeah, it was with
Yeah.
Old Dark House, which is a brilliant film. By the way, my daughter has one of her toenails grows longer than all the other ones, and when she goes to cut them, she's like, "Look, I have a Nosferatu toe, Nosferatu," and she goes with her foot. Anyway, my daughter's awesome.
That's funny.
Yeah, check it out for sure. It's Me, Billy by Dave
I
McCrae.
still need to see that.
What's that one?
It's a fan film sequel to Black Christmas, the original.
Oh, okay.
And Dave McCrae, like he's a voice actor. He wrote and directed it, and he's got a YouTube channel. Like he's an acquired taste, I think, for some people, but he's a really intelligent guy, and I don't know. I've been meaning to check that out.
Sorry, I'm reading this comment. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Because the way he says "fuck up the prime" like that, it almost says it sounds like he says "fuck the prime time." Bitch.
Oh yeah.
If we're talking Morneau, Sunrise is a better film. Nosferatu, great, but Sunrise is one of the best ever made. And take it from Nate. This guy's watched probably 200 silent films. I would assume. Drifter Freddy is basically Nightmare 1 Freddy, and Family Man is Freddy from. I don't know about that. Drifter Freddy has all the red sleeves and longer stalls while Family Man has the striped sleeve. Well, that's all of the other movies. So it's almost like saying the first movie is one movie, but really the only movie that gets ignored by the timeline for the most part is two. So I don't know if I agree with that.
Well,
But
I mean, two isn't necessarily like, I don't know. I mean, it still exists within the continuity. It just they never mention it.
well, I know it does, but like by the time you get to three, the house should be condemned at this point. It's looks terrible and what color is the door? I just thought about that because they paint the door in the door in two has a different color because it's red, and I think it's blue in two, or it's blue and then it's red. I can't remember offhand. Guess I have to watch it
Probably
again.
that cheap bird seed.
Yeah, it's a goddamn cherry bomb. Okay, the door was blue, so it was red throughout the rest of the series. Thank you, Nate. I knew you'd know. Freddy has a personality which I like. Michael and Jason, but two dudes that don't talk wearing masks don't interest me.
Well, that's the thing with the Nightmare movies, though. It's like I love Halloween. I love John Carpenter and his original film and the mythology he put into that. But like Freddy, there's so much more to story and characters, and like personality. Like I don't know. I think that's why Elm Street. If there was more films and there was more good films in the franchise than just like what they have, it probably would be my favorite horror franchise.
Halloween?
No, Elm Street, because Elm Street has a deeper mythology to it. It has better. I think it does a lot more with characters, and they're more story driven than your typical slasher. I mean, really, I don't necessarily think that Freddy should count in the slasher category,
No,
even
I
though
don't
he
either.
does.
He does, yeah. I mean, he gets thrown in there, but I don't think he does either. By the way, I just checked. The door is red from two on. So two does count in that respect. And the bars aren't in the windows anymore. Well, Clu Gulager climbed the ladder and took him down.
Yeah.
Got to get that kid at the goddamn methadone clinic. I love part two. I don't care what anybody says. Frederick Charles. Boy, who is this person? Who are you?
I get what he's trying to say. Like,
I do too. Yeah, I get it.
yeah, like he's looking at it as like maybe there was, I don't know, I guess brothers, and one became one and one was the other. I don't know.
Yeah, Nate, you're probably right. There was a house up the street from me that when we moved in, they just moved out, and it started looking about the quality of what it looked like in Elm Street 3, this house, and then it got tore down within 6 months after that. So Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey it's a scary movie. I don't know if it's scary. It's a horror movie though. Family Man Freddy has shorter stalls on his gloves. Well, who's a ghost? Freddy? I'm lost now.
So, well, my question for Zanillo one is that, do you like Freddy's Dead? Do you like that backstory? Is that what you prefer over the Drifter idea?
Yeah,
So I know that. Yeah, right. I see that. I see how you're trying to separate them into two separate characters, and you're trying to, what you're doing is like explaining why Freddy's sweater is different from the first and the rest, and why his personality kind of changes.
It doesn't change.
But I'm just curious if you're going this far because you like Freddy's Dead, and that particular backstory with
which is okay to
him being a
like.
family man. It's yeah, Ray likes it, and
Well,
you know,
ease up. Yes, okay, I do like it anyway, but I don't put it in the timeline. Um, I prefer okay. Um, there I when did is it? Oh my god. Nate, get the hell out of here with that.
fucking knew it.
Yeah, I had a feeling. Hey, okay, I see you just world building. I getcha. Nathan,
Yeah.
Why did they change the sweater? Do you know that? Because I've never known that. Why they went from the red sleeves to the striped sleeves, and the glove is because, um, they just different designers, I guess, right? Um, oh man, every time I watch Never Sleep Again, her voice is like nails down the chalkboard. Oh. Anyway, whew, this has been fun. We get flung off topic. I love this movie and I love the whole series. It's my favorite horror series. I love it for the good and the bad because I do love, Dream Child was my first experience at a drive-in with Sylvester Stallone's Lockup, and then Freddy's Dead was the first thing I'd ever seen in 3D, which was the end, of course. And New Nightmare broke new ground in cinema. Being kind of meta like Scream, of course, and Elm Street 1 is very inventive and terrifying. And Freddy's, by the way, his personality didn't change. I have my own theory on why, because he was giggling and laughing in the first movie with Nancy. Gotta get you, and he
Well,
pulled his shirt up and cut his stomach open. you know, he's a clown.
he was always a sadistic. Always enjoyed. He is quite literally a bastard, and so there was always that, especially with the way Robert delivered the personality, but because the personality caught on and because people like that side, they kind of the people behind the scenes really leaned into that, and he eventually became an anti-hero.
Yeah. Freddy's on screen. Yay! I got Freddy pajamas. Actually, I've had this since I was like 8 years old, so I was always next to my bed and I had to put it in the horror room. I think his butt says what year it is. Yeah, 1988. My guy. And I just realized I have my extra special glove. So
I gotta get a glove. That'd be cool to
I
have.
need to get a better glove. That's a NECA, an NECA glove, and it comes with a black hand. As you can see, I want, like, Nate's got these really like screen accurate gloves, and I'm like, they're kind of expensive, but I'm thinking like one of these days I should just do it. Like, I've got my Jason masks, I've got a Michael Myers mask over here. It's another thing you need to get, my friend. Yeah, Freddy was
What?
everywhere in 1988. A Myers mask.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh,
I
the
got a
free
Jason
Joker.
mask, which is hilarious.
You do?
Yeah.
Why is it hilarious?
Well,
The free Joker's
it's like out of all of
awesome
them.
Trick or Treat Studios has a good glove. Nate, let me know if that's true. Nate is my, like, I always thought I was a huge Elm Street fan, and then I met Nate, and he's fucking ridiculous. What's wrong with that mask?
No, there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's great. I love it. It's the final chapter mask, but
Yeah.
I just think it's hilarious because of, like, out of the big three, I prefer Halloween and Elm Street over Jason, and
Yeah, Jason
the only
mask.
mask I have of the three is Jason. But
I have all that.
I'm guessing that he hit a wire on his computer which often happens. And so now I'm here alone until he reconnects his device. So, what do you guys think about Elm Street? Got any other talking points for us until Ray comes back? Let's see here.
That was karma, just so you know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I showed up at Horror Hound photo shoot with a V poster. Yeah, Robert Englund looks like an alien. I mean, I know he was in V, but yeah, I've heard Robert, well, from Nate. He likes to talk. I wanted to see this comment. Anders designed the gloves for Tots. I own one of those handmade. He's so. If I wanted to get one, you'd say get one of the Trick or Treat Studios. Nate, you're the pro, man. You're the guy. You're the man, dog. You're the man now, dog. Sean Connery. Anyway, you ready to do? God, I fucked up the camera. You ready to do our scores?
Yeah.
What if they went with Wes's originally wanted with the ending, and maybe New Line would have tanked? I mean, New Line was the house that Freddy built, but they also got absorbed by Warner Brothers eventually. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, but if they didn't do any sequels, there would be no New Line to get absorbed.
No, that's true. There would be no Lord of the Rings. All right, so every week we do what we call a slash score, 10 categories, and we come up with a percentage. And it's writing, directing, casting, cinematography, editing, score, effects, kills, entertainment, and production design. And so it's going to be high on this one. Which one? Seth,
Probably
his
the original.
Yeah. By the way, that documentary is really good. Seth has a 94% for A Nightmare on Elm Street. Tell us a little bit about that, Seth.
Yeah, I rated it high for entertainment value. Perfect 10. I love this movie. The effects, I mean, even the kills, I typed them up this time instead of hand wrote them, so I don't have it in front of me, so I don't actually remember my scores.
I can tell you. It's on Facebook Messenger. Silly.
Oh, yeah. I have to
Remember
look.
You called it Wes Craven's Old Nightmare?
Oh, yeah. I gave them all my own unique title.
Yeah, Wes Craven's Old Nightmare, Elm Street 2, Freddy Goes Woke. E3, X-Men Unlimited are United. Elm Street 4, Freddy Gets Fingered by the Writer's Strike. Elm Street 5, The Parent Trap. Freddy's Dead, False Information Verified by Independent Fact Checkers. Wes Craven's Meta Nightmare. Freddy vs. Jason vs. Good Writing. And the most hated horror remake in existence. All right, so there was those. I was dying when I was reading those. So writing got 8, directing 9, cast 9, cinematography 10, editing 10, score 10, production design 10, effects 9, kills. Come on, man, 9, entertainment 10.
Oh, so I wasn't as low as I thought. For some reason, the way you made it sound like I gave it like a 7 or something.
9's too low.
Yeah. I could complain about that because I do like the fact that this is a character-focused movie, that it is focused on Nancy and the other characters and the reactions to what's happening, as opposed to just being like a body count for the sake of a body count type of movie.
Yeah. The anti-Friday the 13th, really.
Yeah, exactly. And the write-in is like I was kind of torn on my score because like on one hand I think this is a great story, great characters, great mythology behind it, but some of the dialogue isn't all that great.
Like what?
But
Ronnie Blakely, was she the problem?
uh, uh,
Locked.
no,
Locked.
up your nose with a twirling lawnmower. I don't know.
That's up yours with a twirling lawnmower. That's amazing. Rod says the sweetest things. Get the fuck out of here, Tina. What's wrong with you? Yeah, I mean, the only reason we've talked about it before, but like the kills in this movie are like I said, you say because there were so few. I say it's just like Slater. It's all about quantity, man. No, it's quality, not quantity, man. From Dazed and Confused. The quality of these kills are amazing. Sorry, I always wondered what Nightmare on Elm Street. I know. I really wish. Have you seen? You've seen. You've done one, haven't you? In Nightmare on Elm Street 6, The Dream Police. Yeah, we've got an article Seth did on thehorsesyndicate.com where Seth breaks down the Dream Police script. So check it out if you want a good read. Tina's death is seen. I see. Nate agrees. All in camera.
I agree too. I'm not disagreeing with it. I don't know.
10,
I don't understand why a 9 is so bad.
Mark it a 10, dude.
Fine.
Over the line. Okay.
My score is 95% now.
There we go. And there it is. Okay, so no, it's cool. I mean, I love, like I told you my story about Rod Lane's death. I mean, that my mom compared it to me and my baby blanket. We'll get to that one. I love Rod's, Nate. I don't know if you heard the story. I'll have to tell it to you. I'll just tell it real fast. I used to have a baby blanket, and I'd wake up and it'd be like around my neck. And my mom said I need to be careful and try to keep it lower, or maybe I'll choke in the middle of the night. And Helena sleeps the same way. She's got her blanket still too. Anyway, we watched Elm Street, and Rod Lane's scene happened, and my mom goes, "See," and it scared the hell out of me. I thought from that point on, I could die like Rod did. Yeah, that's the reason I like Rod Lane's death. Yes, and I like his rod. Anyway, my score. I couldn't go 100% because like you said, there are some writing issues. And
oh, like what?
Oh, come on, Seth. It's a 9. Like what? Well, I mean, okay, I did say I like the end, but the ending wasn't great, and mostly because I don't know which one I would have preferred. You know what I'm saying? Like when Nancy leaves the next morning, and her friends are out there and all that stuff. I don't know which one of them I would have preferred. I like seeing Marge get pulled into the little window and stuff. That's hilarious. But like that's probably my biggest issue with the movie because I do like a lot of the dialogue. I love John Saxon's delivery for almost everything, especially when he walks in the room and hello, Donald. Marge. I love some John Saxon, and I mean everybody was young. Heather Langenkamp was fantastic. I love Amanda Wyss very much. Anyway, the direction I gave it a 9. Yeah, and casting I gave a 9 because 9. Why not? And the rest is 10s. It's I love the kills. Johnny Depp's kill was so fucking crazy. The effects were great in this movie. I loved the score, and the production design's great. Another cast I got to give casting a 10 because Glenn's he's a peach. So Glenn's asleep. You have to call him. You have to talk to him tomorrow.
You just gotta be firm with them.
Yeah, you just gotta be firm with these kids these days. And Marge being so nervous these days. All right. So the score between Seth and myself comes out to a 96% for Nightmare on Elm Street. Shooting it to the top of our list. I think the closest
yeah.
score to that is Friday the 13th Part 6. I think it's like 83% or something like that. So, what do you think? What would you grade A Nightmare on Elm Street? Nate says 100%, and he's not wrong. We did the 5-star ratings on the Horror Syndicate's Facebook page, and if you want to, go check out the Horror Syndicate's Facebook page so you can be a part of history in the making. Eventually, I'll compile a list of the top 500 based on the community scores, and Elm Street has a 91%. And yes, I am very disappointed in that score, especially because Evil Dead 2 is ahead of it. That's not right. Nothing should be ahead of it. Maybe Jaws. Jaws is ahead of it, but anyway. What do you think of the 91%?
I feel like we should be a little bit higher, but I mean, I guess there are some people that don't like Nightmare on Elm Street or Freddy.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who don't like Freddy because he's such a jokester. Shut up. I like this. 91 is not a good score for Elm Street. No, yeah, he's right. 1991. Yes, he's correct. By the way, spoiler alert: Dream Warriors has a 90%. It's a skosh of a difference between the two movies as far as the score goes. It should be higher. But like we had. Oh, I don't have the numbers here.
How many 1-stars did it get?
I don't have the numbers on me. I can look on the Facebook page, but it wasn't like a ton. Let me see if I can. No, I can't do it that way. It wasn't very many really. It's just I didn't even get to read the comments because, like I said before, we're getting so many comments on these things anymore. It's hard to keep up with them. But I don't understand why people wouldn't like Freddy. He's terrifying. He's got that great silhouette. Plus, you've got a fantastic actor in Robert Englund playing Freddy. You know, he brings so much gravitas to the role. Even in the first movie,
Great character.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, Freddy's awesome. Freddy's awesome in the first two movies, like when he's pure villain.
Yeah. I like that he gets kind of silly. You know, it feels like he's like, you know, he's like these kids. They're not shit. Let me tease them a little bit, and he can do it because he until they figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, he toys around with them.
I guess you're right because, like, I mean, if you think about it, like, yeah, he is cracking a lot of jokes, but it's just he's very sadistic. He loves what he does.
Yes, he does, just like the Joker. I love this job.
Yeah.
That's dark now. I've quoted too many movies tonight. I don't know what's going on with me tonight. It's that Friday night up all night stuff. I am looking at our Facebook page to get to. By the way, man, watch Red Dragon again. I watched it last night. Brilliant. I love that movie. I need to rewatch Manhunter.
It's funny because anytime Red Dragon comes up, everyone talks about how Manhunter's better. And I know Michael Mann's a better director than Brett Ratner, but I like the fact that Red Dragon is closer to the book than Manhunter was.
Yeah, 67 people gave it a 1 star. Douglas Madriz, Omnia Elm Agraffi, Mimi Vega, Vincent Vega's wife. There's 67 people out of almost 5,000 people, so not a bunch.
Yeah, a small percentage.
Yeah, and then there's 42 2-star ratings, and yeah, I mean, you know. Actually, there's a lot more votes or a lot more rates on here since I closed it out, so I might have to go back and redo it, like recount everything, because I think
Yeah.
I had 3,800 accounted for. There's almost like 1,000 more, so it might actually change. I need to
Yeah, it
fix
might
that.
up it up a little bit.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's the show. Rachel, how do you say that? Is it Talalale? Voted how many times? Well, let's check. Let's check her movie, because it's actually not one of the worst rated movies that we have.
Well,
Um,
no, they saved the best for last, right?
they did. They did. Five, 508, 117 of 508 rates as a 1 star on 65 stars for that. So it's just over 10%. Let's get to some of these comments. I've liked Freddy more than compared to Chucky. Okay, here's the question of the night: Who do you like better, Freddy, Jason, or Michael Myers? Let us know in the comments because I'm curious. Chucky, the TV series, is it any good, Seth?
Okay, so the first season was really good up until the last episode. The season finale really blew ass, and the second season was, to me, there was some bright spots here and there, but it was terrible. And that Dom Mancini was forget the TV show stuff and just go back to doing movies, the short
Yeah.
condensed, hour and a half Chucky Tales. And unfortunately, because they went the TV series route, they ruined the Nika character, and that really pissed me off.
Great. It makes me want to watch it.
All the first season wait until the last episode, and then after that, just fucking. My opinion, people do like it. Some people do, anyway.
Yeah. Red Dragon was good. I liked it more than Hannibal. I did too, but I still think that's a pretty tight trilogy. You could watch Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs, and then Hannibal. And I like the ending of Hannibal. Freddy, go old. Freddy, Jason, Michael, Leatherface don't even talk at all. Leatherface makes a lot of noise though. BS. They're
Let's
just
BS.
silent killers like my farts. Well, except Leatherface, he's a pushover. I've never read the novels. I probably should. Dan Brown, is that
Red Dragon's actually the only novel in that series that I completed.
Really?
I have all of them. It's not that they were bad. It's just Red Dragon. It kind of sucked me in because there is that home invasion aspect to it with what's his name, Francis Dollarhide or whatever it is, what he does, and so like there was moments that really kind of creeped me out in that book, and I read all the way through it. And then I started Silence of the Lambs, but I never got far. I put it down for some reason and just never picked it back up. But
I have a problem with reading books after I've seen the movie. So, like, you know what I mean? Freddy had something to say about mimes before. I like Jason. I like Freddy. Who's your favorite of the three?
I'm kind of torn between Freddy and Michael.
So this is our last episode of Up All Night. We'll say goodbye to Seth. No, I mean I get it. Like it's weird because I love Friday the 13th, but I really like I don't know what it is about the Halloween films. Yeah. They just feel. I don't know. There's something about they feel like home for some reason. Where the Elm Street movies, they're comfort movies, but I don't know. Like the Halloween movies, I can just watch anytime and feel pretty good.
I mean, like you said, because like I like them all. I like Fred, Jason. I like Michael. I like Chucky. I like Pinhead. I kind of like Leatherface here and there. I don't know. It's hard to just pick one.
How about this? The people talk about, Mount Rushmore of whatever. Who's on yours? Horror villains.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
No, not for fuck's sake.
Freddy, Jason, Michael, and I'm gonna go with I may have to go with Pin. So I'm a huge.
It was that hard for you?
It's very hard for me actually, because if I had more time to think of my answer, I'd be able to evaluate. Because I'm someone who loves I love a shitload of different franchises and a shitload of different characters. Almost equally at time.
So Nate brings up a really good point. Yeah, but the thing is, like, I'm thinking slashers, more modern era, because, like, honestly, if I did one with, we go back on horror history, there's so many characters. Because I put Dracula on mine, but Christopher Lee's Dracula, of course, and then Freddy would be on there, and probably. If we're going all time, I think I'd put Leatherface with his mask, his main mask from the first movie, because you got to pick that because he always looks different. And a fourth one, God, this is tough if you go like that, because I know you'd change yours. You'd have the Wolfman on there probably, and you'd probably have
oh yeah,
what's his name?
Well, it's like anytime that question comes up, like it's always referred to with like the slasher icons more so than
right. It is, yeah.
Of horror. So I like Nate says, and me, I'm ashamed of it because of my fucking background. I forget about the Universal monsters when that question comes up.
Norman Bates would be yeah, it's a good one. Pinhead, I like Pinhead.
Yeah.
The Black Glove Killers. We'll have just a set of black glove hands underneath Mount Rushmore. If you say modern, yeah, that's probably what mine is as well. But I really I'd like to have Christopher Lee on there, and I would almost even put Peter Cushing on there. He does. See, that's the problem.
Victor Frankenstein is.
Peter
Cushing's Victor Frankenstein is he's a great horror villain.
The best movies from the 1950s and the 1960s. There's a movie called City of the Dead that stars Christopher Lee, and if you know any Rob Zombie songs, there's what is it? Jealousy, Fear, something like that. Fear, Jealousy, something. Anyway, it's from that movie. Superstition, Fear, and Jealousy. That's what it is. I would say, 1960s, you got Psycho, Night of the Living Dead. My personal favorite from then is Rosemary's Baby. What about, you got any you want to throw in there? The 50s is kind of a weak decade, in my opinion. But you got The Fly.
Well,
Body
be right back. Good boy is whining. He needs to go outside.
Go take care of. Yeah, the 50s, you've got, let's see, Thing from Another World, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Curse of Frankenstein, The Fly, The Horror of Dracula, The Revenge of Frankenstein. The Snorkel wasn't bad. I know it's a weird name, but it's from Hammer. Then City of the Dead from the 60s, Psycho, Black Sunday, 13 Ghosts is underrated in my opinion. Village of the Damned is really good. Curse of the Werewolf, The Innocents. We did a show on that. A lot of people like Carnival's Souls, but I think that's the older one. The Birds, The Haunting's really good. The Old Dark House is not as good as the one in the 30s. The Gorgon's good. The Last Man on Earth is really good. Qui-Gon is good, and Onibaba. Nate did a show on that. Those two movies. Frankenstein Created Woman's actually way better than you might think. Night of the Living Dead, Rosemary's Baby, The Devil Rides Out is great. The Oblong Box is very good. Taste the Blood of Dracula. Those, yeah. So there's a lot of good stuff from the '60s. Actors: Price, Cheney, Lugosi, Karloff. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Dracula is more of a classic era. Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, 1950s is definitely more of a sci-fi horror year. Psycho, Rosemary's Baby, House of Wax. I've been add that to my list. Night of the Living Dead, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Night of the Hunter. Never seen that one. Onibaba. Yeah, we agree with that one, Nate. The Innocents. That movie was actually really good. Yeah, that one's on HBO Max if you haven't seen it. When Nate and I did a show, and I think Onibaba was the one I preferred of the two that we did. It was two films that we'd never seen. They're Japanese, I believe. The Haunting, Pit and the Pendulum. Yes, a lot of good ones. House on Haunted Hill. Yeah, is that on my list? I have that movie. Unless outside Hollywood. Yes, House on Haunted Hill. There's a lot of good stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to get deeper into watching movies from the 50s and 60s and even the 40s. Like, because if you go to the horrorsyndicate.com, I did a top 10 starting with the top 10 of the 30s, top 10 of the 50s. I skipped the 40s because I had only seen 8 movies from the 40s. And I've changed that because I've seen Cat People since then. I've seen all the Mummy movies. I actually have not seen a movie from 47, 48, or 49. Yeah, and then of course the 70s is one of the best decades in horror history, with the advent of the giallo genre, a lot of good Italian stuff. Assignment Terror, of course, right, Nate? If you're still out there, The House That Dripped Blood. You get those Amicus films, and then of course Exorcist, Texas Chainsaw, The Tombs of the Blind Dead. There's The Wicker Man, which we're doing later this year. I can't wait to do that one. Torso, Black Christmas. I don't like Black Christmas all that much. Deep Red, Strip Nude for Your Killer. The Omen, Carrie, of course, is a great one. The Town That Dreaded Sundown, Shock, Suspiria, Jaws, The Sentinel. I mean, I could go on forever naming these movies from the 70s. There's so many. Alien, Amityville Horror, Phantasm, the last great horror film of the 1970s, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. There's so many. Peeping Tom. I still have not seen Peeping Tom, the Bad Seed. I've never seen any of those three. Nate, I'm glad you bring those up. I have to add those to the list as well. That makes sense. But we had companies like Hammer in England that were putting out some good movies in the mid to late 50s. Assignment Terror. Paul Nash, Seth, your favorite werewolf guy. Spider Baby, I've never seen that one. Earth versus Spiders from the 50s. Them, that was from the 50s. So I just went through like a list of movies from the 50s and the 40s, 50s, and 60s and the 70s. So that was fun. Any other questions before we close up shop for the night? Because Joe Bob's on and I think he's got the Beyond on. I'm glad that we've had such a good turnout tonight. All you people that are watching tonight, you need to come watch our show on Wednesday. We are talking about, and it's going to be a spoiler episode, so you need to go see it, but we are talking about Evil Dead Rise. I saw it, and I liked it a lot. Seth saw it, and
I liked it a lot, too.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, so, and then Nathan's going to see it, I think, tomorrow, and then Jared, how am I going to forget Jared's name? Jared, I think, is going Sunday. Paranoiac. Yep, that's a Hammer film, isn't it? You'll tune in on Wednesday? Okay. Thank you. Yeah, but we're doing a full spoiler episode, and we've got this whole slate of movies coming up that I'm rather excited about. I just went through and looked at like things I haven't seen. First of all, like The Devil's Candy, we're doing a double feature of 2 movies we've never seen. I think that's really soon. We're going to be we're talking about The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. No, that's not right. Oh, The Autopsy of Jane Doe. We're going to be talking about that, which I mentioned earlier. The Neon Demon. We did Green Room. Yeah, we got some cool stuff up our sleeves. Hellraiser. Oh shit, Hellraiser's after next week. The 2022 Hellraiser. And then the Neon Demon. Yeah. A bunch of stuff. Lots of stuff to watch. Plus, we've got all kinds of old ass episodes that you could check out from the last 4 years. So horror adjacent movies. Nate, stop. Elevated horror. What's horror adjacent? Like which movies? The Neon Demon, that's a horror movie. Hellraiser's a horror movie. The Devil's Candy, I can't comment on. I haven't seen it.
He was probably talking about Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones.
Oh, yeah, horror adjacent. That's true. Horror barely existed in the Soviet Union because they heavily relied on hardcore materialism. Also, for anybody who likes the Summer '84, there's the one. Double Walker and The Lure is the ones we've never seen. Seth, you better show up this time. The Wicker Man in June, The Town That Dreaded Sundown in June, The Howling. I'll cancel that if you don't show up to the 2 we've never seen. Poltergeist, The Mist, Aliens, Nope, Predator, Saint Maud, Invisible Man from 2020, and of course Attack of the Clones. The Boy Behind the Door, which is a really good movie on Shudder. Willy's Wonderland with Nick Cage. Ready or Not, Mayhem, Hush, Late Phases. I keep putting werewolf movies in here just to keep you around. That's it. Just to keep you, foaming at the mouth. Curse of Frankenstein for October. The Horror of Dracula. Curse of the Werewolf. We're doing Hammer in October. The Devil Rides Out. Yeah, and then so we've got a lot of stuff to cover over the next few months, and you should subscribe. Check us out on Wednesday. We're almost out of werewolf movies. We've done we did a commentary on Silver Bullet.
No,
we talked about American Werewolf in London. There's not a lot.
I want to redo on that one.
Which one?
American Werewolf in London.
Why?
If I remember correctly, I was having like an off day that day, and
okay,
yeah, I don't think I was really talkative.
I'll ask the boss. The Nun. We're not going to do a show on the Nun. Sorry, that movie's just awful. I like that. Oh, okay. I thought about that. A Company of Wolves. Have you seen that one, Seth?
Yeah.
It's on Shudder. It's a fucking odd. It's like an odd Red Riding Hood movie, right?
Yeah.
Or is that?
Pretty much.
Or am I thinking of something else?
No. It's pretty much that. Yeah.
Yeah. Great ending, but the rest of the movie is just kind of, I don't know. I mean, I'll put whatever on the list, Nate. You should do movies on a post about 2 weeks out so we can watch. That's a good point. I'll start doing that more. I got to be better at managing that stuff. Oops, skipped right over that one. Although the Soviet films were mostly science fiction. Science fiction can be horror, though. One of the great movie posters.
It does have a great poster.
What movie is he talking about? The Nun?
Company of Wolves.
Oh, yeah, I do like that one, yeah. We watch the movies the day of. Most of us do, but I try to watch beforehand. Yeah, well, what I'll do is I'll put the list up on Facebook. Anybody who watches or pays attention to the Facebook page, pay attention to all the posts, not just the 5-star reviews, because we've got a lot of stuff, and we want to get people to watch the show more, and not just this show, but especially the big show, the Wednesday show, the Discourse, because we've got tons of stuff to talk about. And like I said, I've got my 5 what do I call it? The 5 questions, razor is burn or whatever. Yeah.
Not a bad question, Bert.
Jared does his tidbits and trivia, and then, like I said earlier, Nate does the autopsy of the scene, and Seth is still trying to find his voice. Yeah, we got 5. We've got 5 watchers. We need more watchers for Wednesday. I wonder if it's the night. Do you guys like the Saw movie? I do. I think Seth does. I don't know. I don't think Nate does.
Yeah, dude.
What? Seth does the glitch and stare.
It's true.
That sounds like a song, glitch.
Did you see my yeah?
What?
Did you see my comment the other day? I was like, "Me on the show tonight," and I just like broke up anything I would say with a fucking glitch.
Yeah. It sucks. But last Wednesday, your everything was good. It was going real well. And today's not. There's been a bit of a delay, but it's not that bad. It's weird. When Jared's on, you glitch out more. It's really strange. I think him being in Kansas and you being in Vermont fucks everything up somehow. I don't know.
You're gonna have to develop that theory a little bit.
I'm going to. It's like, I don't know. Like, we got a line going from Vermont to Kentucky to St. Louis to Kansas. And Kansas is where the feed gets really choppy. I don't know. Oh, man. It's good. Well, there's the thing that sucks is you do have a lot of stuff to say. And I really want you to come up with something to sink your teeth into for these episodes, because I know you get a lot to say about these movies. You just don't have a segment. I want you to have a segment.
Yeah. I do kind of like the last thing that we talked about with me summarizing the story in my asshole-ish way. I just gotta
put you did
thought
on
into him before
Wednesday.
And I put any thought into it, and I feel like I could have done better with it.
Well, Nate is applauding your funny summaries, so that might be the thing. I'll make you I'll send you a copy. Bam, Sid, super bitch. All right. Where do you find these puppet stop motion? This guy, he's going on and on about these stop motion animation Czechoslovakian films and Russian films. Where do you find those? I mean, I will check just about anything out. So anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this bad boy up, because it's 10:40 in the Central. It's almost midnight for Sethy Poo and Nathan Poo. So Nate, one of these days, maybe next year, maybe the year after, we'll do a full episode on Elm Street, because we've never done it. Seth, give me your final thoughts on this one as I put your score back up. Nope, that's mine. There's yours. Look at that smiling face.
Yeah, A Nightmare on Elm Street, or as I call it, Wes Craven's Old Nightmare, is one of the best horror movies ever made. It's definitely Wes Craven's best horror movie, period.
Deadly Friend.
Deadly Friend. I will say Deadly Blessing is a little underrated. That one's actually
I need to watch that one still.
In my opinion. Yeah.
Just got that recently from Scream Factory.
Yeah. It's not like it's not as it's not one of his best, but I think it's really good.
I think
got
Nate
Cousin
said the
Fucker.
same. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's where it came from. That's right.
Yeah.
I still have that picture. I don't have that picture anymore. Damn it. I have that one though. Go ahead.
Yeah, so in A Nightmare on Elm Street, or as I know it as Wes Craven's Old Nightmare, it's a film that I revisit a lot. It's a film that has yet to ever get old for me. It's a film that I will always admire and hold in high regard, and it's one of my favorites. The end.
The end. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100%. It's never gotten old. I was telling the kids I gotta watch the movie for this week's Friday show, and they're like, oh, "What?" And I put it on. They're like, "Oh, you acted like it was going to be something we wouldn't want to watch." And my kids, they love the Elm Street movies. Reynolds actually got to see it in the theater. But yeah, this is definitely my favorite horror film. There's no way I can ever not like it, or never not. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think it'll ever not be my favorite. It'll like Jaws is up there, Texas Chainsaw is up there, but A Nightmare on Elm Street is everything for me. It's where I cut my teeth on horror. I bonded with you and Nathan over it. It's good stuff, and I'm glad we're talking about it again. Even though we talk about it's no Friday the 13th. Gremlins went through different iterations. Gremlins is an excellent film. Did we not talk about Gremlins once? I thought we did.
Maybe in passing. I don't think we've done a show on it.
And we should, because Gremlins is really fucking good. By the way, if anybody's wondering who Cousin Fucker is, here he is. Yeah.
And just to give reference for that joke, is that actor played a character in Wes Craven's TV movie Summer of Fear, in which he was trying to get down the pants of the person who he thought was his cousin, and even his the sister of his character, played by Linda Blair, is trying to kind of hook him up a little bit with her. And then also in Deadly Blessing, his character, he plays a character who's arranged to get married to one of his cousins. So we call him Cousin Fucker, and we say effectively.
Well, he was pigeonholed early, typecast as the Cousin Fucker. He looks ashamed. Right. He does.
He goes from young Clark Kent to Cousin Fucker. Yeah,
he's either that or he's seeing some guy who's trying to date his cousin. Anyway, thanks for the laugh.
Or there's a deleted scene. There's a deleted scene in Superman where Kara comes to Earth.
Oh Lord!
And he tries to fuck her. Yeah.
On that note, our overall score for Elm Street is 96%. The community score is 91%. If there are no more questions, we're going to close this bad boy out. Did he really buy that wig? Because that wig, he looks dashing. He gives people excitement, sweaty armpits, and all that shit. Those are the only two pictures I kept from last year's show. Was this and this. Does anybody know what movies these are from? I know we do, Seth, so don't say anything. I know Nate knows. What movie is this from? Can anybody answer that? And then what movie is this from? Answer that in the comments below. And I'll see if anybody knows.
She's doing her O face, Oh.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Shane Clark. Nothing at all. Oh, that solitude gets lonely. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Jolene. LOL. Friday the 13th? No. No. Jaws, but which one? It is Jaws. Both of them are from a Jaws movie. Two different Jaws movies. All right. That is the show for the night. I want to thank everybody for coming out. And I want to remind everybody to check our show out on Wednesday, the Horror Syndicate Discourse. It starts at about 6:30 Central. It's Jaws 2 and Jaws 3. The best two Jaws movies. The show starts at 6:30 Central, 7:30 on the East. And if you're on the West Coast in the western part of the country, it starts at 4:30. Yeah, that's Jaws 2, the girl screaming, yes. And the other one is that Dennis Quaid and some floozy. There she is. Ooh. All right. Anyway, yeah. So join us on Wednesday because that's the big show. That's the big one. And we'll see you then. Don't forget to subscribe. If you're on YouTube right now, head over to Facebook and hit us up on Facebook. And I keep talking because I keep getting comments popping up. Singing Christmas carols like in Jaws 4. I can't wait to talk about Jaws 4. Anyway, watch some horror movies. Don't forget to watch Evil Dead Rise in the theater. Go check it out. Let's get that bad boy up to 100 million so we can get another Evil Dead movie. Because, man, they're all connected. All 5 of them are connected, plus the shows. So, Seth, have a good night. You good people out there, have a good night. Come back on Wednesday. Tell them, Seth.
Come back Wednesday, and if you don't, if that's the way you feel about it, that's fine.